Isn't it funny how we're afraid to be afraid in front of other people? Why do we do that? Did you ever think about that? But why would my heart be beating so hard right now? Why is it hard for me to get the air from my lungs through my throat out to all of you? Anybody else ever had that experience? It's called the sympathetic nervous system, better known as the fight or flight response. So is my mind affecting my body? But for some reason in our culture, we seem to want to believe that the mind and body are something separate. And I have the hardest time figuring out why it is that we can't accept the fact that we are one whole person. We're not just carrying our head around on top of our body. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to dive inside of myself. I'm going to dive inside of my body, and I'm going to take an inventory in terms of what is going on throughout the different cells and systems of my body right now, so that you can learn to take an inventory off of yourself, so that you don't have to think that you're powerless over your emotions. Because you're going to learn tonight just how dramatically emotions can affect your health. So just let me dive inside my body real quick, just a little bit. When you meditate each day, you become very much in tune with what's happening within your body. Not just mentally, not just emotionally, not just physically, but spiritually as well. I can definitely feel the adrenaline moving through my veins right now, big time. Is everybody okay with that? All right. I'm going to move up into my brain. My brainwave activity right now, which I've learned a little bit about and I'm able to sense and understand through something called neurofeedback, which I'll touch on a little bit tonight, is telling me that my brain wave activity is in a very high theta mode. In other words, the amplitude of my brain waves is so high, it's very, very difficult for me to actually learn anything right now, because it's difficult for any information to actually enter into my brain, for anything to be absorbed. It's actually a miracle that I can even speak. There's a little organ in the base of my brain on each side. It's called the amygdala. The amygdala is a little cluster of cells on each side of my brain, about the size of an almond, that really regulates it as the control center for the fight or flight response. And with PTSD, the amygdala, post-traumatic stress disorder, the amygdala is hypersensitive. And instantly, as soon as it recognizes a perceived threat, no matter if I'm consciously aware of that perceived threat or not, the amygdala then, in turn, sends a signal to my adrenal glands, and before you know it, I'm hijacked by emotion. I'm hijacked by adrenaline. I'm hijacked by cortisol, or stress hormones, and prolonged exposure to these stress hormones eventually will lead to illness. My heart rate is way up. My throat is tight. My muscles are actually quite tight. The blood pressure is high. My digestion has slowed to almost nothing. My mouth is dry, and my mouth doesn't want to move because my amygdala is perceiving all of you as a threat. And because of that, my immune system right now is actually amplified temporarily to prevent me from any gaping wounds that I might receive from any of you. But that won't last long. Eventually, the immune system will deplete dramatically. Inside my body a little bit, and I'm going to slow my brain waves through the breath. I'm going to talk to my amygdala. because I happen to know that the prefrontal cortex of my brain, the cortical regions of my brain, can in turn now send a signal to my amygdala. Most people don't realize this. It can send a signal to my amygdala that says this. I talk to it like a child because the subcortical regions of the brain are very childlike. It's very symbolic in reality. But I can just talk to it like a child and just say, you're all right. You're just overreacting. You're fine. You're safe. You're okay. So you can send now a signal to the adrenals that they can calm down. Now that might not happen with PTSD. The adrenaline is prolonged and it's so intense. I hope that it does. Whenever I get in front of a group of people, it's like Russian roulette, whether or not this will hit me or not. It's hit me. I'm integrating my brain now. And as I reintegrate my brain, because my brain has downshifted from fight-flight into a sensory motor area, I've become very impulsive. But now as I breathe and relax, and I just think the words to myself, soft belly, my brainwaves begin to slow. The amplitude diminishes. It's still theta, but much lower. My amygdala cools and calms down. I can feel those soothing beta endorphins moving through my body from my pituitary gland. My muscles release and relax. My digestion begins to return maybe a little bit too much. My belly goes warm and soft. Soft and warm. And I feel a little better.